Hello guys, my name is Nash. Welcome to Thursday Tales of Terror. TTT. Today's case is from Indonesia and I would say this is a very nasty case. It's one of the most famous and phenomenal murder cases in Indonesia in 2016, with the media covering the case extensively. The ruling of the case was even televised on national television and watched by millions of Indonesians. This young lady by the name of Jessica Wongso was said to have killed her best friend in broad daylight with lots of people around in a cafe in Jakarta. It was hard to believe that someone as refined as Jessica would commit such an appalling act. Were they really best friends? If so, why did Jessica decide to kill her best friend? Let's find out. Jessica Kumala Wongso was born in Jakarta, Indonesia in 1988. She was 28 years old at the time. She was born into a super wealthy family and she was the youngest of 3 children of Imelda Wongso and Winardi Wongso. Jessica's father was known as the plastic king to some because he and his family owned a large company dealing with imported plastics. His company was also the largest distributor of plastic in Australia. In 2005, Jessica's family moved to Sydney, Australia because of their business and they purchased a home in the exclusive harbourside suburb of Double Bay. Double Bay, in fact, is known as the most fashionable and expensive shopping district. It's like Sydney's Little Europe. And if you choose to live in the area, houses there cost millions. And if that doesn't make your jaw drop, Jessica's father also bought 2 plots of land right next to each other. Jessica, however, did not move with her family to Sydney right away. Instead, she stayed behind to finish high school in Jakarta. When Jessica finished school in 2008, she joined her family in Sydney, Australia. According to her family members, Jessica loved playing computer games and she loved drawing. This interest led her to pursue graphic design at Billy Blue College of Design. Jessica made many friends in college and her college friends would describe Jessica as a bubbly and goofy girl who got along with others very well. One of her friends that she made in college was called Mirna Salihin. Mirna and her boyfriend Arif Somarko both came to Australia to study, but Mirna was in Sydney and her boyfriend Arif was in Melbourne. Jessica and Mirna had a lot of things in common and they got along very well. Both Jessica and Mirna were from super wealthy families, they were both Indonesian and they loved design. Soon enough, Mirna became friends with Jessica's friends, Hani and Vera, and the 4 of them were having the time of their life in Sydney. Despite studying in a foreign place, they managed to fit in well with the support they had given to each other. After college, Jessica decided to stay in Australia and she became a resident while Mirna went back to Indonesia with her boyfriend Arif. Jessica and Mirna both grew apart and I think it's pretty common when you're far from each other. It becomes harder to maintain the friendship. In June 2015, Mirna went back to Sydney for a holiday. She got in touch with Jessica because she wanted to catch up and the two met up for dinner. At that time, Jessica was dating an Australian man and she was telling Mirna about her relationship with him. Mirna, who was known to be very direct, gave her advice to Jessica. Mirna's friends would describe Mirna as someone who was very upfront, direct. Someone who would speak her mind, but that's only because she cares. The advice that Mirna gave was for Jessica to dump her Australian boyfriend because she thought that her boyfriend was toxic and Jessica shouldn't be wasting her time on such a guy. And Mirna was just concerned for Jessica. But Jessica was clearly upset by what Mirna said. She became quiet and eventually she just left Mirna halfway through her meal without even saying goodbye. She just left. Obviously, Mirna was aware that she might have hurt Jessica's feelings, but after what happened during their dinner together, she had this very uneasy feeling about Jessica. She then became cautious of her. So, Mirna told her boyfriend Arif that she was never going to meet Jessica alone ever again, and if they should meet again next time, she would want someone to accompany her. But because Mirna was only in Sydney for a short while, and as soon as she returned to Jakarta, the two didn't have much contact anymore. 2015 was an eventful year for both Mirna and Jessica separately. Let's begin with Jessica. Jessica's life wasn't smooth sailing. Her behavior in Sydney became more and more troubling. She was living alone in an apartment in Sydney and she was going through a rough time mentally. In a span of 1 year, Jessica was taken to hospital 5 times because she tried to end her life. It was reported that she had self-harm issues and her suicide attempts were never successful. On January 26, 2015, Patrick O'Connor, Jessica's boyfriend, had called the police to report that Jessica had threatened to kill herself with a knife. In August 2015, Jessica got into a car accident. She crashed her car into a Leichhardt nursing home at 2:20 a.m., only meters from the bedrooms of dozens of elderly residents. The sound of the crash woke the residents up and everyone was in a state of panic. She had been drinking and it didn't take long for the media outlets to get hold of this incident. There was even a footage of an injured Jessica inside an ambulance. A couple of her ribs were cracked and she had some bruises. 2 months later after the incident, Jessica's boyfriend Patrick called the police again. He told them that Jessica had tried to poison herself with carbon monoxide in her bedroom. It wasn't serious and she was unharmed. 2 weeks later, police were called again to check on Jessica in her apartment. When they arrived, they found an empty bottle of whiskey and 3 letters next to her bed. In one of the letters, she wrote that Patrick was to be blamed for her death. The other letters were for her family and work. It looked like farewell letters to them. By the end of November, Patrick simply had enough and he filed for a restraining order against Jessica. Jessica's behavior was getting out of control. According to Patrick, Jessica would spam him with voice and text messages, threatening to harm herself again and again, and not only that, she was also harassing his family and friends. He was feeling very uneasy and troubled because she was so unstable and he genuinely feared for his own safety. He was also worried for the safety of his family and friends. At one point, Patrick got paranoid as his car had been vandalized and he suspected that it might be Jessica's doing. He reported this to the police, but after an investigation, it was found that Jessica wasn't the culprit. Even if she wasn't the culprit, her other actions and behaviors were definitely enough reasons for Patrick to be granted an urgent protection order. In the same year, in November, Mirna on the other hand married Arif in Bali. They had a beautiful wedding, it looked so magical. But because Mirna grew cautious of Jessica, she decided not to invite Jessica to her wedding. She did, however, invite Hani and Vera, the friends she made through Jessica while studying in Sydney. Days after the wedding, it was reported that Jessica was sacked from her job at New South Wales Ambulance. She was also due in court in Sydney in February 2017 for drink driving charges. Nothing was going right for Jessica. She then made the decision to return to Jakarta. Jessica created a WhatsApp group chat with her close college friends a day before she left Sydney on December 5th. Mirna and Hani were living in Jakarta and Jessica wanted to meet up with them. Mirna didn't respond immediately, taking a couple of days to get back to Jessica, and when Jessica kept pushing for a meetup, Mirna eventually agreed that they could all go out to dinner. On the 12th of December 2015, Mirna brought her husband along with her to meet Jessica for dinner as planned. I think Hani wasn't free and Mirna didn't want to meet Jessica alone as mentioned before. I'm not really sure how the dinner went because not much was reported, but on that day, that was the first time Jessica heard about Mirna and Arif's wedding. It must have been so awkward. To begin with, Jessica was not in the right mental state of mind. She had attempted suicide so many times and I'm sure Jessica had a lot on her mind when she got to know about the wedding. Her best friend's wedding that she wasn't even invited to. Not long after, Jessica wanted to meet the girls again, so she invited Mirna and one of their other college buddies, Hani, to a meetup. They decided to meet at Grand Indonesia Shopping Mall. For some reason, Jessica was really excited to meet them. She even offered to buy them drinks. She texted to tell them that she will book a table and order the drinks. Jessica suggested going to Olivia, a cafe that is well known for their Vietnamese iced coffee. The girls agreed and they arranged to meet at 5 p.m. Strangely, Jessica arrived at the cafe at 3:30 p.m., which is 90 minutes before her friends were supposed to arrive. At 3:32 p.m., she was seen leaving the cafe to buy some gift for her friends. Jessica returned at 4:14 p.m. with 3 large paper shopping bags from a bath shop. Shortly after, she went around looking for a table and she could be seen looking around for cameras. She then placed the large bags at the edge of the table. Police said she did this to obscure the view of the security cameras. She was seated behind the large shopping bags, so you can't really see what she was doing behind the bags. Not long after, she ordered 3 drinks, 2 cocktails and 1 Vietnamese iced coffee. When the waiter brought the drinks over, the drinks were all behind the shopping bags. From the CCTV, you could see movement, but it was blocked by the bags. At 5:15 p.m., Mirna and Hani arrived. They were 15 minutes late, but Jessica didn't seem bothered. They were giving each other hugs and they quickly settled down. By this time, their drinks have been sitting out for more than 45 minutes. It's weird that Jessica would order the drinks for her friends this early. She could just order for herself first and wait for her friends to arrive before ordering for them. Immediately after sitting down, Jessica pointed to Mirna her coffee, and Mirna took a sip of it and she clearly felt something was wrong. The taste was awful. Mirna started to wave her hand in front of her face and she was showing signs and expressions to her friends that the coffee tasted and smelled weird. And then suddenly, Mirna tilted her head back and passed out. It was said that foam formed on her mouth and she had a seizure before she collapsed. Waiters and even the manager came to help and everybody was curious about what had happened. Hani was clearly panicking and she kept calling for Mirna to wake up, and Jessica on the other hand asked the manager, "What did you put in my friend's coffee?" Upon hearing this, the manager felt uncomfortable at that sudden accusation and she told her staff not to throw Mirna's remaining coffee away. She also told her staff to call the ambulance quickly while they tried to wake Mirna up. According to the manager and the footage from the CCTV, Jessica didn't seem bothered and she was rather calm. She didn't have any emotions, she didn't panic like everyone else did, she just stood there and watched. Mirna was eventually sent to the hospital for emergency treatment, and Hani quickly informed Mirna's husband, Arif, about what happened. Arif was in utter shock and he immediately made his way to the hospital. Unfortunately, Mirna didn't survive. She was pronounced dead at 6 p.m. on 6 January 2016. Her death was so sudden that her family and friends were in absolute shock and despair. The police wanted to perform an autopsy on Mirna to find out more on her exact cause of death, but because Indonesia is predominantly a Muslim country, it was not common to conduct autopsies. Initially, Mirna's family didn't want to get an autopsy done because they wanted her body to remain as it is. But eventually they came to an agreement whereby they would just take some samples and not do a comprehensive autopsy. The autopsy results concluded that there was cyanide present. If you remember, the cafe manager didn't throw away the coffee that Mirna had, and the police confirmed that there was cyanide present in the coffee. Cyanide is a rapidly acting substance that is traditionally known as a poison. Mirna's funeral was held and her family, her twin sister, her friends, her newlywed husband and even Jessica attended. There was a video of Jessica at the funeral and she looked uncomfortable, and she eventually left when one of Mirna's aunt accused her of poisoning her niece. Police definitely found Jessica to be suspicious because of her behavior that day. Unfortunately, because the focus then was to try and save Mirna, the police didn't get to search Jessica on that day. She had in fact thrown away the pants she was wearing on that day, claiming that her pants got damaged while trying to help Mirna. But it was very clear from the footage that she didn't offer any help to Mirna and she just stood emotionless at the side. Some information was also brought up to the police, and I will be sharing some of the speculation surrounding this case as well. Now, Mirna's dad, Eddie Darmawan, revealed that Jessica had been sending several intimate texts to Mirna and it appeared to be one-sided. One of such messages was, "Mir, I want to kiss you. It's been a long time." So it was said that Jessica actually had unrequited feelings for Mirna, but once she found out that Mirna got married to Arif, she executed her plan for revenge. Mirna's family was sure that Mirna wasn't a lesbian as she had a loving relationship with her husband Arif. Jessica also denied being gay, and there was nothing in her past relationships that indicated that she could be one or bisexual even. Another speculation was focused more on how Mirna had become close to Hani and Vera. Hani and Vera were friends of Jessica first, and Jessica introduced them to Mirna during their college days. And soon, the three got really close, with Jessica being the odd one out. To add on, things weren't looking good when Mirna didn't invite Jessica to her wedding, but she invited Hani and Vera. Rumors of a love triangle had also emerged. The press speculated that Arif and Jessica had dated each other while they were all in Australia. Jessica had apparently told one of her co-workers that her friend Mirna was marrying her ex-boyfriend Arif. It was unclear as to why she would say that, but Arif denied that he ever had an affair with Jessica and that they only met a couple of times when Mirna was present. There was also another rumor and claim made by Jessica's defense team that Arif, Mirna's husband, could have been the mastermind instead. They pointed out that the Olivia's barista, whose name was Ranga, could have been acting as an accomplice of Arif, and Arif had offered to give him Rupiah 140 million, which was about USD $10,700, to put the poison in the coffee. Allegedly, the motive behind it was that Arif stood to pocket a hefty life insurance payout in the event of Mirna's death. But the barista refuted this claim, and Mirna's family also supported Arif. Because there's all these rumors and accusations, the police decided to go to Australia to find out more about Jessica's personal life, hoping to get something out of there. They interviewed Jessica's previous boss at the NSW ambulance service, Christy Carter, and she painted a picture of a manipulative, scheming, and emotionally unstable person who had two different personalities. At one point, when Christy had refused to help Jessica, Jessica threatened Christy by saying, "You must die and your mom must die." She had also told Christy something really disturbing when Christy visited Jessica at the hospital after one of her suicide attempts. Jessica said, "If I wanted to kill someone, I surely know how, and I know the right dose." A couple of weeks later, after Mirna's death, Jessica was arrested on January 30th at a hotel in North Jakarta. They had gone to Jessica's family home the day before, but she wasn't there, and Jessica apparently checked into this hotel without telling anybody. Now, before the trial began, investigators contacted their counterparts in the Australian Federal Police and requested for a dossier on Jessica. As Australia opposes the death penalty, they only agreed to cooperate if Indonesia police can guarantee that Jessica will not face the death penalty should she be found guilty. They agreed. The trial soon began. I'm pretty sure if you're an Indonesian, you would have heard about this case. This case was so huge back then, it attracted a great deal of public and media attention. The police didn't have solid evidence to back up their claim of Jessica being the killer. Police had difficulty finding any evidence of Jessica buying cyanide, and she also claimed that she didn't have any access in getting the poison. So how could she have poisoned Mirna? Jessica's behavior after she got arrested and during the trial was just bizarre. She continued to publicly deny poisoning her friend, and she was just smiling as she was saying it.
Explain the cyanide in the drink. Do you think?
No, I have no idea.
Did you put it there?
No, of course not.
Okay, well, I hope your trial is a fair one.
I think.
She seemed cheerful and calm, and it almost looked like she was enjoying the attention the media and public were giving to her. Sandy, Mirna's twin sister, believed that Jessica was enjoying being the focus of a lengthy trial and the subsequent media attention. Sandy also said, "I would like to see justice for my sister, an eye for an eye, life for a life." During the trial, Sandy was called to testify, and according to her, she actually received a strange message from Jessica after Mirna's death. Jessica had forwarded an article to Sandy. That article was about poisonous Vietnamese coffee, and Sandy believed that Jessica was trying to convince her that the coffee itself was the cause of Mirna's death, and not the cyanide that was found in the coffee. Mirna's dad also testified in court to mention that Jessica wasn't behaving normally. Even after learning that Mirna, her friend, had died, she was just really calm and composed. Hani also testified in court to say that she heard Jessica mumble the words, "I'm sorry," after Mirna was pronounced dead. Now, because Jessica was from a wealthy background, her family was able to hire one of the best lawyers in Indonesia, and her lawyer is pretty known for representing top celebrities. Her defense team claimed that cyanide was not the main reason for Mirna's death, and that her cause of death could have been another undiagnosed underlying medical condition. Firstly, the autopsy itself showed that cyanide was only found in her stomach and not in her other organs, and this itself wouldn't cause Mirna to lose her life. Unfortunately, because her parents didn't want to conduct a comprehensive autopsy, only samples of tissues and fluids were taken. Her cause of death couldn't be fully determined. Secondly, the prosecution couldn't prove that Jessica had put the poison in the drink. From the CCTV, you could see some slight movements, but because she was blocked by her 3 large shopping bags, no one was able to see if she did pour cyanide into Mirna's coffee. And the prosecutors were unable to give a definitive answer as to where Jessica had obtained the cyanide. The trial took 5 months, and on October 5, 2016, Jessica Wongso was found guilty of the premeditated murder of her best friend, Mirna Salihin. Later on, Jessica and her defense team had tried to appeal the case, but it was rejected. Jessica was sentenced to 20 years in prison. If you didn't know this, supposedly in Indonesia, the death penalty is executed by a firing squad, which is extremely scary. And I would love to know what you think, because this case had divided opinions. Others find that the lack of definitive motive and decisive evidence are proof of her innocence. There was no physical proof that Jessica did it, and the prosecution were more focused towards her odd behaviors, her past relationships with people like her former boss, and her ex-boyfriend. Jessica also mentioned that the police detention she has been in since January is inhumane, spending her days in a tiny room with no ventilation and flooding when it rains. The defendant also broke into tears as she explained that there were often cockroaches in her cell, and she had felt pressure to confess to her guilt for the crime. Do you think Jessica killed her best friend? And if so, why? Let me know in the comment box below. And so we have come to an end for today's case. If you would like to support my channel, please hit the subscribe button and share the video around. And thank you for staying till the very end with me. Stay safe. Until then, I will see you guys again next Thursday. Bye.